Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the lives of history's most fascinating military figures. Today, we're going to explore the remarkable story of Jan Zizka, a Czech general who left an indelible mark on the battlefield and in the annals of military history. Born around 1360, in the small village of Trocnov, Bohemia, Jan Zizka's life would be shaped by the tumultuous events of his time, forging him into one of the most innovative and successful commanders of the medieval era. The 14th century was a time of great upheaval in Europe, with the Black Death ravaging the continent, the 100 Years' War raging between England and France, and the Holy Roman Empire struggling to maintain its authority. The once mighty empire was now fragmented, with petty kingdoms and city-states vying for power. In Bohemia, the kingdom was experiencing a period of relative stability under the rule of Charles IV, who had established Prague as a major cultural and intellectual center. The city's strategic location at the crossroads of trade routes made it a hub of commerce and learning, attracting scholars, artists, and merchants from across Europe. Jan Zizka was born into a noble family, his father being a minor lord with ties to the royal court. As a young boy, Zizka would have been exposed to the stories of his ancestors who had fought in battles against the Mongols and other invaders. This environment likely instilled in him a strong sense of martial pride and duty, as well as a deep understanding of the importance of defending one's homeland. Growing up in Trocnov, Zizka would have witnessed the daily life of peasants and villagers, developing an understanding of the common people's struggles and aspirations. He would have seen firsthand the effects of poverty, disease, and war on the local population, which may have shaped his perspective on the social and economic factors that influence military conflicts. Zizka's early education would have been limited, but he would have received training in arms and chivalry, as was customary for nobles at the time. He likely learned to ride, fight, and hunt from a young age, skills that would serve him well on the battlefield. As he grew older, Zizka may have been influenced by the writings of Vegetius, a Roman author who wrote extensively on military tactics and strategy. This exposure could have sparked his interest in innovative warfare and tactical thinking, as well as a deeper understanding of the importance of discipline, training, and logistics in military campaigns. The influence of his family and social status cannot be overstated. As a member of the nobility, Zizka would have been expected to fulfill certain obligations, including military service. His family's connections to the royal court may have also provided him with opportunities for advancement and exposure to the inner workings of power. However, it's essential to note that Zizka's early life was not without challenges. He suffered from poor eyesight, which would later become a significant factor in his military career. This physical limitation may have driven him to develop other skills, such as his exceptional hearing and intuition, which would serve him well on the battlefield. As Zizka entered his teenage years, he would have been aware of the growing tensions between the Catholic Church and the reformist movement led by Jan Hus. The Hussite movement, as it came to be known, emphasized the importance of individual faith and challenged the authority of the church. Although Zizka's family was likely loyal to the church, he may have been exposed to Hussite ideas, which could have shaped his perspective on the role of religion in society. This exposure may have also instilled in him a sense of skepticism towards established authority and a willingness to challenge conventional wisdom. The early years of Jan Zizka's life were marked by a complex interplay of familial, social, and cultural influences. The seeds of innovation, adaptability, and determination, which would become hallmarks of Zizka's career, were sown in the fertile soil of his childhood and adolescence. The old feudal order was crumbling, and new ideas about politics, religion, and society were emerging. In this context, Zizka's experiences and influences would have been shaped by the tumultuous events of his time. As Jan Zizka entered his adulthood, the flames of rebellion were already flickering across the Bohemian landscape. The year 1405 marked a pivotal moment for Zizka as he witnessed the burning of Jan Hus at the stake in Constance, an event that would galvanize his commitment to the reformist cause and forever sear into his memory the image of a righteous man consumed by the very fires of persecution he had sought to challenge. The air was heavy with the scent of smoke and betrayal as Zizka watched, his heart burning with a sense of injustice that would propel him forward on a path of defiance against the Catholic Church and the Holy Roman Empire. Over the next several years, Zizka's military prowess and strategic thinking earned him recognition among the Hussite leaders, who began to see him as a vital asset in their struggle for religious freedom and social justice. His name became synonymous with bravery and cunning on the battlefield as he led his troops into the fray with a fierce determination that inspired loyalty and admiration in equal measure. The sound of clashing steel, the thunder of hooves, and the cries of the wounded would become the symphony of war that accompanied Zizka throughout his campaigns, a reminder of the human cost of conflict and the stakes for which they fought. In 1419, Zizka played a key role in the defenestration of Prague, an event that sparked the Hussite Wars and plunged Bohemia into a maelstrom of violence and upheaval. As tensions between the Hussites and the Catholics escalated, Zizka's military expertise became indispensable to the reformist movement, which was facing an existential threat from the combined forces of the empire and the church. He led several successful campaigns against the Catholic forces, employing innovative tactics such as the use of war wagons, which provided mobile fortifications for his troops and allowed them to withstand the heavily armored cavalry charges of their opponents. One notable example of Zizka's military genius was the Battle of Witkow Hill in 1420, where he led a small force of Hussite warriors against a much larger army of Catholic mercenaries. The battlefield was a maze of steep slopes and rocky outcroppings, which Zizka used to his advantage by deploying his war wagons in a defensive line that funneled the enemy into kill zones. As the Catholic forces charged uphill, they were met with a hail of arrows, stones, and cannon fire that shattered their formations and sent them tumbling back down the slope. The Hussites, meanwhile, held firm behind their wagon fortifications, their morale buoyed by Zizka's inspirational leadership and their conviction in the righteousness of their cause. Throughout the 1420s, Zizka continued to lead the Hussite forces to numerous victories, often against overwhelming odds. His campaigns took him across Bohemia, Moravia, and Silesia, leaving a trail of defeated Catholic armies in his wake and earning him the admiration of his peers and the fear of his enemies. As his fame grew, so did his influence within the Hussite movement, which began to look to him as a unifying figure and a symbol of resistance against tyranny. Zizka's relationships with his contemporaries were complex and multifaceted, reflecting the tumultuous nature of the times in which he lived. He was particularly close to Prokop the Great, another prominent Hussite leader with whom he shared a deep commitment to the reformist cause and a passion for military strategy. Together, they worked tirelessly to promote the Hussite ideals of religious freedom and social justice, often finding themselves at odds with the Catholic Church and the secular authorities. As Zizka once remarked, "We do not fight for power or wealth, but for the freedom to worship God according to our conscience." This sentiment encapsulated the essence of the Hussite movement and inspired countless followers to join the cause, even in the face of overwhelming odds and persecution. As the years passed, Zizka's legend grew, both among his allies and his enemies. He became known as a fearless warrior, a brilliant strategist, and a champion of the oppressed. His name was whispered in awe by the common people, who saw him as a hero and a symbol of resistance against tyranny. The nobles and clergy, on the other hand, viewed him with suspicion and hostility, recognizing in him a threat to their power and privilege. Despite his growing fame, however, Zizka remained humble and dedicated to his cause, always seeking to promote the interests of the Hussite movement and protect its followers from persecution. The significance of Zizka's contributions to the Hussite movement cannot be overstated. He played a crucial role in shaping the military strategy and diplomatic efforts of the reformists, helping to ensure their survival against overwhelming odds. His innovative tactics and clever use of terrain inspired a new generation of military leaders who would go on to apply his principles in conflicts across Europe. As Jan Zizka's life entered its final years, he continued to lead the Hussite forces with unwavering determination, despite the growing toll of his injuries and the increasing pressure from his enemies. The year 1424 would prove to be a pivotal one for Zizka, as he suffered a severe blow to his eyes during a battle, which left him completely blind. Undeterred by this debilitating injury, Zizka adapted to his new circumstances with a resolve that would become the hallmark of his legacy. He relied on his other senses and his deep understanding of the battlefield to guide his troops, demonstrating an uncanny ability to navigate the chaos of war through sheer force of will. As he once said, "A true warrior does not need eyes to see, for he sees with his heart and fights with his spirit." These words encapsulate the essence of Zizka's character, a man whose indomitable spirit and unwavering conviction propelled him forward, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Despite his blindness, Zizka remained a formidable force on the battlefield, leading his men to several key victories against the Catholic armies. His tactical genius, honed through years of combat experience, allowed him to outmaneuver his foes and exploit the terrain to his advantage. The fortified wagons, which he had introduced as a novel tactic earlier in his career, continued to play a crucial role in his military strategy, providing a mobile and adaptable defensive system that proved nearly impenetrable to enemy cavalry charges. However, Zizka's health began to decline, and he eventually succumbed to the plague in 1424 at the age of 46. His death was met with widespread mourning among the Hussite community, who saw him as a hero and a champion of their cause. The news of his passing sent shockwaves throughout Europe, as Zizka's reputation as a brilliant military leader and a fearless warrior had earned him a place in the annals of history. Zizka's legacy is still felt today, as a pioneering military leader who introduced innovative tactics and strategies that would influence European warfare for centuries to come. His use of fortified wagons, clever deployment of terrain, and emphasis on mobility and adaptability raised the bar for military commanders across the continent. As one historian noted, Zizka's genius lay not only in his bravery and strategic thinking, but also in his ability to inspire and motivate his troops. Often against overwhelming odds, this ability to galvanize his men and instill in them a sense of purpose and conviction would become a hallmark of great military leaders throughout history. In the centuries following his death, Zizka's reputation as a hero and a champion of religious freedom has endured, inspiring countless generations of Czechs and others who have fought for their rights and liberties. Today, he is remembered as a national hero in the Czech Republic, with numerous statues, monuments, and memorials dedicated to his memory. His name has become synonymous with courage, determination, and leadership, and his legacy continues to inspire people around the world. His unwavering commitment to his cause, his innovative military strategies, and his inspirational leadership have made him a timeless figure whose influence will continue to be felt for generations to come. His unwavering dedication to the Hussite cause was rooted in a deep-seated desire for reform and a commitment to the principles of equality and justice. This sense of purpose gave him the strength to persevere in the face of overwhelming adversity, inspiring his men to follow him into the very depths of hell itself. His life and career offer a compelling example of how one individual can inspire generations through their courage, conviction, and leadership. His life and legacy serve as a powerful reminder that true greatness is not measured by the absence of flaws or weaknesses, but by the ability to overcome them through sheer force of will. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.